The main goal of ASP.NET Core Identity is user store and user management. Whether it's verifying the credentials or updating a user's profile data, we pretty much always have some sort of application and some sort of database. So let's see how an ASP.NET Core Identity plays an important role between those components. The first thing that we have is a storage or a store. These are implemented inside the user store and role store, which are your data access layer. Now they are interfaces, so they abstract away the underlying database and its structure so that it does not affect the architecture of rest of your application. The store allows you to change database providers at any time with no necessary changes throughout the rest of the application. Next layer is the managers. This is where all of your business logic lives, where functionalities such as validating rules on username, hashing a password, assigning a role, managing users, and much more are handled by the managers. Managers are your gateway in .NET Core Identity Library, and this is the place where we will be spending most of our time. In the .NET Identity, two managers that we will be working most often is User Manager and Role Manager. The final layer is what I'm going to call as an extension. This is basically a library of methods which have abstracted away the login with managers or adds out-of-the-box integration with external library. An example of that will be Sign-in Manager. As the name indicates, it is used to sign in the user and related functionality. This simple class calls various user manager methods and then issues cookies automatically based on the result, ultimately simplifying authentication logic for basic application. Underlying all of this, we have a common set of entities representing our user and roles. As discussed earlier, these do not have to be same as what actually is stored in the database, but they do have to be returned from your store. Same entities will then be used throughout the rest of your library and eventually returned to your application. Entity Framework Core Library then brings in the full implementation of user stores and role stores for these entities. We will be using Entity Framework Core DB Context for data access on these entities. If you want to use Identity Library, you will be using Identity DB Context rather than DB Context. You can see in the picture here in the pink, I have displayed the main component that we have with our identity. First is the user object, then we have roles that can be assigned to a user, and then there is a mapping table which maps roles and users using a table user role. By default, the names of these tables in your database is that ASP.NET will be added before them. That's why in the database you will see ASP.NET Users, ASP.NET Roles, ASP.NET User Roles table, and so on. Now if this is too much right now, do not worry. Once we start programming and implement this, everything will start making much more sense. But I wanted to throw something out there, that way your brain can think and digest on what we are actually implementing.